Back in mid-September, I posted my pitch video for BCM241. In this video, I drew attention to the Legend of Zelda series, describing its massive popularity and longevity over the past 34 years. In my pitch video, I emphasized my fondness for this series and how my plan was to find out the real reason behind why these games are so revered. My method of doing so surrounded audience engagement and autoethnographic study. The analytical framework chosen for this task surrounds the teachings in Week 3's lecture on autoethnography. It is the autoethnographer's job to discuss the changes they may experience of other people through their research. I did this through the use of an active field journal. My field journal is a simple Word document where I can record my interactions with the people involved in my study and how they make me feel or shape my findings. I tried to add to this document at least once a day so I had an abundance of data to reflect on. My field site functioned almost exclusively within two Facebook groups that I am a part of. These groups are called the Legend of Zelda Hub and the Legend of Zelda Hero of Time Fans. I will be referring to them as Zelda Hub and Zelda Fans, respectively, to save time during this video. Alongside Week 3's lecture material surrounding autoethnography, I simultaneously looked towards participatory media culture, something I learned in a separate subject, game media industries. Participatory media culture teaches us that a text can be deconstructed to make better sense of it. This leads me to my process, how I conducted my research over the semester. Ethnography is the systematic approach to describing and analyzing experience. Over the course of this semester, I have been observing others' experience of the Legend of Zelda franchise while also recording my own experiences as an ethnographic researcher. I did this in the form of polls. Over the weeks, I engaged with both Zelda Hub and Zelda Fans on a daily basis. I used Adobe Illustrator to put together a visually engaging tournament where I asked members from both groups to vote on which they preferred. Each of the polls asked a different question, including which was the most memorable non-playable character, or what makes a Zelda game a Zelda game. The entire poll creation process relied heavily on feedback loops. The tournaments were designed so the audience could vote by reacting with a love or a haha emoji. After a certain amount of time, usually around 24 hours, I would check in and tally the reactions. The winner for that round would move on, and I would edit the document in Adobe Illustrator, making changes accordingly. This was the process until an ultimate winner was decided. On some of the more popular posts, audience engagement reached over 1,200, which was an incredible feeling. Conducting research on my media niche while also making people happy was one of the best aspects of this subject. There were of course some downsides, as there had to be when conducting research involving people. At times, my audience felt it was easier to criticize than to engage with the topic. This proved to be frustrating and disappointing. For example, when naming one of the characters incorrectly, more people were discussing the mistake than actually providing insight into the topic. Fail early, fail often also came into play here, specifically with my Twilight Princess poll. When choosing characters for a particular poll, I tried hard to stay away from obvious choices or protagonists to ensure a fair fight. However, some members of the audience may have felt upset or let down because maybe some of their favorite characters didn't feature. This occurred at such a large capacity with the Twilight Princess post that I took the entire thing down, picked different characters, and started again. This is a classic example of active membership, as described by Peter and Patricia Adler in their book Membership Roles in Field Research. I quote, "In functioning as a member, researchers can get swept up into many of the same experiences as members. While this has the distinct advantage of adding their own selves as data to the research, both as a cross-check against the accounts of others, and as a deepened awareness of how members actually think and feel, it propels researchers through various changes." On the topic of adding myself as data to my research, it is worth pointing out that after posting in Zelda Hub for long enough, I was added as a moderator to Zelda Fans. Now, as an admin, my posts are added instantly, as opposed to Zelda Hub, where my polls must await approval before being posted. The difference in time meant that the data I was receiving from Zelda Fans was much more instantaneous. This position of power also may have influenced people's decisions to vote or not vote in my surveys. This meant I had to consider myself within my data collection as a possible influencing factor. You never know if members of my audience may have changed their answers due to my place as admin. So, to wrap this up, what does make the Legend of Zelda series so popular even after 35 years? Well, I think what I ultimately learnt from this subject was not the definite answer to that question, but what it is to be more involved with those within my niche, both as an observer and as a participant. If I had to formulate an answer to the question posed, I think among many things, the incredible community within my niche is arguably the driving force behind the game's continuous support and popularity. All in all, I thoroughly enjoyed immersing myself in The Legend of Zelda than I ever have before. Thank you so much for watching.